vote followed a 13-hour, often contentious hearing. And when it was done, all 18 Republicans voted to advance the impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas. All 15 Democrats voted against it. The GOP alleges the secretary was guilty of willful and systemic refusals to comply with the law. The full House could vote on the impeachment next week, but even with a narrow GOP majority, there's no guarantee it will pass. I'm Rory O'Neill.
Tunnels under Gaza are being flooded with large amounts of water by the Israeli military. The effort aims to keep the Palestinian militant group Hamas from using the estimated 350 miles of tunnels they've built. The plan has drawn some criticism over potential dangers to nearly 130 hostages still held in Gaza and over damage to drinking water and sewage systems. Testimony resumes today in a Michigan courtroom as the trial of the mother of Oxford High School shooter Ethan Crumley continues. New developments came forward on Monday when former dean of students for Oxford High School, Nicholas Ejak, told jurors why Crumley's backpack was never searched.
Did anybody request to search the backpack?
They did not.
And did you search the backpack yourself?
I did not. It wasn't necessary or rise to the occasion that I do that.
Michael Kastner, NBC News Radio.
All Around Jumpers in Ontario would like to say thank you to all the local men and women in our armed forces who risk their lives daily to preserve our freedom and way of life. God bless America. This message courtesy of All Around Jumpers at 517 West J Street in Ontario. Trust the experts to rent your jumpers, bouncers, tents, tables, chairs, popcorn, and cotton candy machines, and more. Call All Around Jumpers at 909-638-4564. That's 909-638-4564.
Was your car involved in an accident or just need help with dents? All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers. In business for over 30 years. Their highly trained staff and certified technicians and friendly staff are the best in the business and treat each car as if it was their own. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers are family-owned and offer state-of-the-art equipment and tools to ensure optimum results. They use the latest technology in computerized color matching and specialize in frame repairs. With their modern laser measuring systems, they're OEM certified, and they have 4 locations to serve you. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers offer rental car assistance with free drop-off and pickup services too, and their work has a lifetime guarantee. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers are in Norco, Eastvale, Moreno Valley, and in Fontana. Call them at 1-800-61-MAGIC. That's 1-800-61-MAGIC. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers. 1-800-61-MAGIC. All Magic Paint and Auto Body says, drive carefully.
Hi, I'm food critic Alan Borgen, and I'm excited to tell you about Ray's Shanghai Bistro in Redlands. Ray's Shanghai Bistro offers the largest and most delicious array of traditional and original Chinese dishes available in the Inland Empire. Some of my favorite dishes are the house-made pot stickers, the crisp pork spare ribs with garlic, their unique spicy lamb with bamboo, the sweet and tangy deep-fried orange peel beef, and the savory basil spicy shrimp, plus lots of vegetarian dishes. Whether you dine in, pick up the food, or have them cater your next party or special occasions, you will see why Ray's, spelled R-U-I'-S, Shanghai Bistro, is truly the best Chinese restaurant in the Inland Empire.
Make sure to check out their new location at 405 West Stewart Avenue in Redlands, California, right across from the Sprouts grocery store. That's Ray's Shanghai Bistro.
This is KCAA.
Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary-Treasurer and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
Welcome, everybody. KCAA 106.5 FM and 1050 AM. It's the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan. Good to be back. Sorry I missed last week. I'm the longtime organizer, first-time radio show host. We're just having conversations, talking about how unions positively impact our community. I missed last week. I had to jump on a plane, and I had to fly to D.C. Left on Tuesday, jumped on a plane at 3, flew to D.C., got to D.C. at 3 a.m., and then had a few meetings, and then flew right back Wednesday night. So I was unable to actually have a show last week, so we played a rerun. But I do want to spend a minute talking about the show the previous week. So sorry I missed you. If you got on to try to catch us and you didn't catch us, that's what was going on. Those things happen to me every now and then. I get a last-minute phone call on Monday and they say, Randy, you got to go. And I had to go. So believe me, I try to do as much as I can to avoid traveling, especially 2,600 miles for a couple meetings. It'd be nice. Most of them we do now via Zoom, so I don't necessarily have to travel as much, but every now and then there's a certain set of urgency that I have to actually do it. But short of that, just do a quick recap of not last week, but the week before last show. We had a Teamster Advantage partner in here. She was from a little specialty restaurant, a specialty store in Yucaipa. Matter of fact, I think one of our Teamster Advantage directors went and got some jams and a bunch of stuff from her store and had some of the jam the other day. It was really, really good. So thank you for coming on. I thought she was a great guest, very, very energetic, and did a good job of describing her store. We also talked about a Labor Party. I had Dennis Reardon on, and we talked about why isn't there a Labor Party, a party that actually protects middle-class workers. I try not to let this show get into divided politics. Matter of fact, I don't let it, and I'm not going to let it because there's just nothing productive that comes out of it. But the reality is the parties have kind of lost their mind a lot in the last few decades. And I think it's a reminder that there should be a party that represents labor. And what I mean by labor is not just unions. It should be workers, the middle class, small business owners. And we had a pretty good discussion around that subject. Frank, I think you were here that week, and I don't know if there's anything that stood out to you in that show regarding, obviously it'd be very complex and difficult to do it, but and we're going to actually have other segments of it in the future. I'm going to have Dennis back on, and we're going to talk lightly about what it would take to do it, and we're going to bring up some more issues on why people feel sometimes abandoned by the political nature.
Yeah, the idea of a workers' party was really intriguing to me because I feel like it's pretty obvious to most people that most of Washington is kind of starting to forget about the average worker.
Polarized somewhere else other than a worker.
Yeah.
Right.
Not all, but most of the people up there have plenty of money, and they're not necessarily thinking about it. And there's a lot of lobbying that goes on to both parties, both major parties, that the person with the bigger wallet tends to have the bigger influence on what they decide up there. So I feel like us, middle class workers and people who are struggling to maybe forgotten a little bit. So the idea of a workers' party is very interesting. Implementing it would be quite tricky, like you said, but I think it'd be worth looking into.
Yeah, and we're gonna have some fun dialogue over the next few months. I'll have Dennis back on a couple times, and we'll talk through some of the steps in it.
Awesome.
That if we were gonna do it. One of the other things I've been getting my chops busted about is actually not putting the call line in. 88 call toll free 888-909-1050. 888-909-1050. So, you guys from Boston and New York and a few places that have been texting me and calling me and talking to me, if you want to call in and say something, feel free. If not, we're just going to run our show here. Anyway, I thought that was a good show. We'll move into the next part of the show, but very looking forward to a robust discussion and not becoming very political. Divisive, I should say. Divisive. I think the divisive nature of politics in today's day. I'm actually going to touch on it in my current news, interestingly enough, and how people are reacting to some things sometimes and overreacting, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how it affects me in some of our current news. But this is one of my favorite parts, and actually a lot of people like the part of the show where we talk about Teamster jobs. And I've also gotten this great help from Karen Jones, which is our historian at the International Brotherhood of Teamsters in Washington, D.C. She is phenomenal. She's an awesome person. I believe she listens to the show religiously, and shout out to you. Our members love you. Every time she does classes on the history of our union, everybody really, really enjoys them. And she sent me, I said, hey, do you mind once a week sending me some tidbits or some interesting facts about the Teamsters and labor from her perspective? And she, of course, in true Karen fashion, sent me like 30 pages of documents. It's got like a ton of stuff. And so I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm going to slowly pick through them as time. And one of my favorite is, I don't know if I've said it on the show before, but when we had a bunch of kids at our office doing a field trip last week from, I think it was one of the middle schools in San Bernardino, and I actually told them that Elvis was a Teamster. Now, ironically, it was weird that some of the kids didn't know who Elvis was. Most of the kids knew who Elvis was, but I guess that makes sense, right? But I would say 75% of the kids knew that who Elvis was. And then when I said he was a Teamster, I explained what he did. He actually delivered ice cream. He was a local delivery guy in Memphis while he was working his way through becoming a good singer, obviously a good artist. And, it was one of those things that he depended on a good union job to carry him while he was making a name for himself as, as an entertainer and a singer. Are you going to pipe in on this, Frank? No? No, he's not going to. Anyway, so Elvis, Elvis is, I always love that fact. Elvis was a Teamster, and there, a lot of famous people were actually Teamsters early in their career while they were struggling to make sure that they could make ends meet, pay their rent or house payment or car payments or whatever they were doing just to get through. So thanks, Karen, for that. There's one more point I want to point out too. During World War II, the Teamsters, the Teamsters, all of our not all of them, but a lot of our members across the country drove trucks selling war bonds, making sure that the war was funded. Very interesting point. I think it's very important. Think about it. Our Teamster drivers are on the road all the time, and they actually had banners and branding on the side of the trucks and would sell war bonds, advertise selling war bonds during World War II to obviously make sure that we were able to prevail in that war. And so, good shout out to those Teamsters back in the day. Thank a Teamster is in full motion here in the IE. The billboards have been switched over. The new design is out there, and you'll see them right now. Look at the billboards on 10 and the 210, and slow down if you don't see it yet, and maybe it's in the cycle. But really branding Thank a Teamster, and we're bringing back that message from the 1940s, 50s, and 60s, and just making sure everybody understands how important those jobs are. So thanks, Karen, for giving me the information. The next thing I want to point out are the 3 Teamster jobs that a lot of people don't know. So a Teamster job, this is a really cool, interesting one. Skateboard instructor in the city of Pomona. Our members in the city of Pomona, there's a skateboard park, obviously, and the instructor is a Teamster. The instructors are Teamsters, part of our Pomona unit there. And so obviously dealing with the kids and instructing, I'm assuming adults every now and then will jump on a skateboard. I hope not, but it's kind of dangerous for me. I used to be really good at riding a skateboard when I was a kid. Now I put my foot on it and I don't know. I feel it's like all my coordination's lost. I don't know where it went. It disappeared. The next job is airline pilots, but private ones for private companies. Local 2118-2118 here in Southern California is the local union that represents hundreds and hundreds of airline pilots that actually pilot private airplanes that are, some of them are like for small air, airline companies. Some of them are like co-ops where there's like 8 or 9 different groups coming together and they're sharing a plane. And some of them are for executives, a whole bunch of different stuff. But private airline pilots. And then the last one is a really, really important one. I always make sure we cycle back through this. And again, shout out to Carlos Gonzalez. Carlos makes sure that I have my 3 jobs every week teed up. And the last one is dispatchers. Let's not forget, you dial 911 in the Inland Empire. It is very likely that a Teamster answered, how can I help you? And dispatched you in the right direction. And so Teamsters are making sure that this community is safe every day. Any of you dispatchers that are listening, we appreciate the work that you do. And a lot of us, we absolutely empathize with how difficult that job is. And I don't know if anybody's seen a movie on where a dispatcher is centered in a movie and you get to get a glimpse into what they deal with literally all day, every day. But it is an incredibly difficult and challenging job. And as far as I'm concerned, they should all make $1 million a year having to deal with what they have to deal with. It's insane the things that they have to deal with. And we really appreciate the work that you do. And once again, in the Inland Empire, most of your dispatchers are Teamsters, and we want to thank you for the work that you do. And so with that, I'm going to switch over to current news. And we do have some guests here today. We actually got 3 guests. We're lined up here. To my left, which is right on the screen, I have Jovi from Jovi's Diner. She'll be speaking in about 10 minutes as soon as I'm done with the news. And then we have Letty and Elisa from the San Bernardino Fire Unit. They're going to talk about their jobs when they come in here in right after the break. But before that, let me get to current news. And I think that my current news is going to tie in pretty good to the earlier discussion that we had recapping the previous show I did. Just as a reminder, it's the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 106.5 FM and 1050 AM. Just got to put the call letters out. There's a FCC regulation to do that, correct? Right, Frank? Yeah. So with that, the UAW announces that they endorsed Biden. And so you might say, why are you bringing politics into this? Well, because the UAW has obviously received a lot of national recognition, and there's a pretty hotly contested debate over it. And I guess it makes a lot of sense because when the UAW had their strike, Biden was very supportive of those workers. In addition, he came and walked the picket line, which is the first president in the history of the United States, the first president of this country to actually walk a picket line during their presidency. We had a lot of them walk them before their presidencies, but never during. And so UAW has endorsed Joe Biden. Now, those of you that are on the other side of the political spectrum, if you're a worker, just kind of break it all down and try to understand why those endorsements happen. But that's going to take me to the next part of the news, which is this morning, I got a pretty heated email from somebody seeing our general president in the Teamsters, Sean O'Brien, meet with Trump and not only he met with them a few weeks ago, but he's going to met with them, I think it's today, that there's a screening going on. And everybody's jumping to conclusions, and I had all kinds of text messages, and it's newsworthy. Obviously, it's newsworthy. I'm seeing it on CNN. I'm seeing it in The Guardian. I'm seeing it in a number of media outlets. And so it's definitely labor newsworthy. And the reason I'm bringing it in is not to get political. It's not to get partisan. I want to make things very, very clear. The subject to bringing this in is not to be partisan. It's to bring up the subject that we have an obligation, and is nasty as some of the emails and the text messages I have received, because there are some people that are really, really upset at the Teamsters Union for even meeting with the former president. And, everybody has their opinions and their position politically, and, we have to be respectful of that. He's not been very good to labor, but he's still considered the front runner on the Republican side, and we have an obligation to meet with him. We have to meet with him. And so for those of you that have, you get a little upset. Now, one of the emails this morning that came into me, actually, when I responded back and explained, part of the process and how it's being handled, they calmed down and were like kind of apologetic. But again, see the reaction. It's like, oh, you see this, and then all of a sudden, I'm mad, and I'm going to be really mad at you if this happens and that happens. So the political process of meeting with candidates is different, number one, than the endorsement process, and then different than the election process. And it's really important for us to pay attention, because later on, when I have my guests on in a little bit, we're going to talk about how the political process is negatively impacting workers that actually work in the area that are very, very important to the community. And you have to pay attention to some of these things, because they do affect you at work. They do affect your daily grind and everything that you're doing at work. And so currently right now, the Teamsters are vetting those candidates, not just Biden, but all the candidates, because it's also JFK Jr., Bobby Kennedy Jr. is running. He's been interviewed. Trump has been interviewed. I believe Biden's interview is coming up here pretty soon. And all of the candidates, Nikki Haley, all of them were sent invites, because if they're DeSantis, if they're running for office, they need to come in, answer a set of questions, and they need to earn the endorsement of the union. They need to explain what they're going to do for working people and how their decisions are going to impact working people. And so, just because somebody's interviewing, somebody's having a conversation, we shouldn't have an overreaction to that process. Many times I personally, politically, completely disagree with the subject, but I'm obligated, elected individual who has to vet these situations in the right way. And you have to meet with individuals that you don't like sometimes, because it's going to be one of two or three people that are going to be running the country or running a city or running a county or whatever it may be. And it's important for us to ask questions on policy. How are they going to respond to those questions, to the certain policy, and how are they going to implement certain policy as time goes on? So my very brief piece on the news, on current news, is reporting on those two things, and hopefully it gets everybody thinking. And for those of you that are listening and haven't sent me an email or text message, and you want to be mad about one or this, just think about it before you type that in and send it off to me, because it's part of the endorsement process, is actually screening. And believe me, I have sat in many screenings where I've wanted to bite my lip off because the things I've heard from the candidates that are running for office asking for our endorsement. Sometimes I'm shocked that they're even sitting in the room and they would say things that they say. But hey, we got to go through the process. We're obligated to do that. And so with that, I'm going to transition over to one of our Teamster Advantage partners. She has sat here very patiently right next to me to my left, going through the top of the show. Really appreciate it. Jovi, right?
Yes. Hi. Thank you for having me.
How are you? So you run Jovi's Diner. Where did they get the name from?
Well, my name is Giovanna. So when I decided to open up my own restaurant, what would be better than my name?
There
right?
you go.
Jovi Diner.
That's
Jovi's
perfect.
Diner, so yeah.
So tell us about your restaurant. Where's it located?
So it's a small diner in the city of San Bernardino, downtown area. We've been open since 2013. Our main goal is just to provide a home-cooked meal to the community. And I'm from San Bernardino, so San Bernardino is my city. So I thought it was, the best place to open it up and show my love, and give everybody great food. Everybody deserves that. So.
Which streets are you on? What's your cross streets?
Rialto and East Street. We're right across the street from Food for Less, which was actually one of the first Food for Lesses ever.
Mm-hmm.
So San Bernardino,
sure was.
Yeah, San Bernardino has a lot of history, and
do you remember when that was a Zodi's?
No, I do not.
The Food for Less used to be, it was actually built as a Zodi's.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember the name Zodi's.
No.
Okay, I'm showing my age. Right. Yeah. People listening, when I say Zodi's, they're going to know what Zodi's is. It's an old department store.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So tell us about what do you cook? What kind of dishes? What's your favorite dish?
Breakfast, lunch, and Mexican food. I want to say my favorites are home-cooked huevos rancheros with our chile verde. A little kick to it, little spice, our home fries. Everything we do,
Chile verde. I say it bad. I'm a white guy. but Oh man, I love good chili verde.
Yeah, chilaquiles. Our menudo's great. We also have bacon and eggs, traditional home fries, hash browns.
What do you sell more of? You sell more of the traditional or the Mexican breakfast?
I think our Mexican food is on point. Our
I
beans.
would hope so.
Our
yeah.
beans are, to me, they're the best, so. Yeah, and handmade tortillas. You can get menudo on a Sunday morning with handmade tortillas, So
the tortillas are made there?
They are, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, if you get lucky, I might make them for you one day.
Right. What's the discount Teamsters get there?
10%.
Oh, 10% for Teamsters.
And I'm really grateful for Teamsters. I really think they're a great bridge from, the union to the diner, because they wouldn't know we were there if you guys didn't advertise for us and do all that.
Mark's over here, he's all jumping around, all happy because he's like, yes, sir, I'm doing my job, Randy, I promise.
I'm just grateful, that I have that gateway to you guys, for people to know that we're there. And I want to say every Teamster that I met is great, great people.
Good.
So,
yeah.
grateful.
See, what we love about this connection and this partnership is taking the small businesses, connecting them to our membership, because we got a lot of them, right?
Yeah, you do.
And so, obviously we advertise for free and we, send the push notifications out and, we try to get to everybody, but it's hard to, you can only do so many push notifications a day.
Yeah.
But, and word of mouth, I found some of our members are very loyal to their Teamster Advantage partners.
Yeah, definitely. We have our regulars that come in.
What do they
don't
order?
even need to tell me they're Teamsters. I know.
You just know now. Yeah.
You know what? Breakfast. Also, Teamsters has really helped us. We have a food truck also. We do a lot of catering.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done weddings. We've done birthday parties. We've done events. We did your guys' car show. That's what we were talking about today.
You're coming back to the car show
that
this year,
car show
right?
was so awesome. That
tell us about how awesome it is.
It really was. It motivated my husband to buy a Harley.
Oh,
because of
nice.
all the beautiful bikes that are
See,
there.
we're helping the economy.
Yeah, there you go. Helping me get some free time. No, just kidding. No, but yeah, it was an awesome show, and I was just grateful that it was in the downtown area, that it did get the community, involved and have everybody there. Because a lot of people, when you think about San Bernardino, you're kind of like, but no, you guys had
isn't it great?
Yeah, it was a successful, calm, peaceful, beautiful day, actually.
And
yeah.
lots of people. We had almost 3,000 people there.
Yeah. We had our food truck out there, and we did great. So, that's just something else that's a positive for Teamsters, I would say. Yeah, getting the community together.
Yeah, my favorite part about the car show is not only bringing the local small businesses and then also saying you could do something good here, right? Is whenever you're just standing there right on the corner of, for us, it's 4th and Sierra Way, and that turns into a dance floor there.
Yeah,
in front of the stage,
does.
and for a few hours, people are dancing and showing their moves and having a great time. And it's like you're in downtown San Bernardino having a great time. Everybody gets to sample all the different vendors, and then the other thing that they get to do is enjoy the cars. We have over 500 cars. We had over 100 bikes, and it was a great time. And everybody, it's free. It's free admission.
Yeah,
we don't charge
awesome.
anybody. We don't charge anybody.
Yeah.
We're now, it's a fundraiser for us. We get places to donate and to do sponsorships and stuff. And it's just us encouraging people to do what's right by your community.
Yeah, I think this year is going to be a lot. I'm actually looking forward to it. Just hoping the husband doesn't buy a new bike because he's going to see all the
Maybe
new
he'll
bikes
buy a
there.
hot rod or
I know,
something,
I know,
right?
right? Yeah. So no.
Or a lowrider or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had plenty of the lowriders and hot rods and bikes, and I mean it's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really good to see you guys come together. I saw a lot of the Teamsters that I actually know because they're regulars in there. Just having a blast. So that's awesome.
Enough about this. We only got a couple more minutes here, right, Frank? A couple more minutes, and what? More about your diner.
Okay, so guys, we're open Monday through Sunday. We open at 8 a.m.
That's every day.
Every day, every day. And we close at 3 p.m. Like I said, if you guys want to enjoy a home-cooked meal, come on in. I love to be there. I love to interact with my customers. There's nothing better than seeing a familiar face when you want to go and have a good meal. We also do a lot of catering. We have a food truck. So if you have any events coming out, any weddings, corporate parties, anything, you guys can come on in, ask for a free taste trial. We like to offer that just so you have peace of mind and you know exactly what you're getting. So yeah, we offer different variety of food: Mexican food, Italian food, steaks and chicken and anything, pretty much anything you want to eat. Yeah,
that's quite a big menu.
Burgers and
How do you manage such a big
and,
menu?
Yeah, right. After been doing it for 11 years, kind of get used to it. That's why you're probably so good at your job. How many years?
30.
Yeah, there you go. So.
I don't always feel good at it, but hey,
Yeah, we're at 123 Northeast Street in the city of San Bernardino. Our phone number is 909-888-4893. If you guys have any catering inquiries, you can reach out to 909-733-8531. And yeah, well, hopefully we get to meet everybody, and happy to see you guys.
So thanks for coming on. We really appreciate, number one, first we appreciate your partnership in the Teamster Advantage program, and obviously this should help too.
Yeah, for sure.
And second, we really appreciate what you do for the community, and obviously in San Bernardino. While some of us aren't abandoning San Bernardino, we're actually staying in San Bernardino and trying to do really good work in there. Those of us that are all working together in that space really appreciate the work that you do and what you bring to the community. It's hard work. What you do, that job that you do, is very, very difficult running a restaurant. I don't know if anybody knows, but it is a very, very difficult job. And we appreciate the work that you do being a small business owner in the area. And that's why we have our Teamster Advantage program, to try to reward small businesses in the Inland Empire.
Definitely. Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. This KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. It's the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan. We're going to go to break and come back here in a couple minutes. Thanks, Frank.
All-around jumpers in Ontario would like to say thank you to all the local men and women in our armed forces who risk their lives daily to preserve our freedom and way of life. God bless America. This message courtesy of All-Around Jumpers at 517 West J Street in Ontario. Trust the experts to rent your jumpers, balancers, tents, tables, chairs, popcorn, and cotton candy machines, and more. Call All-Around Jumpers at 909-638-4564. That's 909-638-4564.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters1932.org.
Was your car involved in an accident or just need help with dents? All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers, in business for over 30 years. Their highly trained staff and certified technicians and friendly staff are the best in the business and treat each car as if it was their own. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers are family owned and offer state-of-the-art equipment and tools to ensure optimum results. They use the latest technology in computerized color matching and specialize in frame repairs. With their modern laser measuring systems, they're OEM certified, and they have 4 locations to serve you. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers offer rental car assistance with free drop-off and pickup services too, and their work has a lifetime guarantee. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers are in Norco, Eastvale, Moreno Valley, and in Fontana. Call them at 1-800-61-MAGIC. That's 1-800-61-MAGIC. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers. 1-800-61-MAGIC. All Magic Paint and Auto Body says, drive carefully.
Hi, I'm food critic Alan Borgen, and I'm excited to tell you about Ray's Shanghai Bistro in Redlands. Ray's Shanghai Bistro offers the largest and most delicious array of traditional and original Chinese dishes available in the Inland Empire. Some of my favorite dishes are the house-made pot stickers, the crisp pork spare ribs with garlic, their unique spicy lamb with bamboo, the sweet and tangy deep-fried orange peel beef, and the savory basil spicy shrimp, plus lots of vegetarian dishes. Whether you dine in, pick up the food, or have them cater your next party or special occasions, you will see why Ray's, spelled R-U-I'-S, Shanghai Bistro, is truly the best Chinese restaurant in the Inland Empire.
Make sure to check out their new location at 405 West Stewart Avenue in Redlands, California, right across from the Sprouts grocery store. That's Ray's Shanghai Bistro.
This is KCAA.
We're back. The Worker Power Hour with Randy Corgan, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. I am joined by some guests today. Really excited. I've got a few fellow Teamsters in the room. I'm actually outnumbered. I've got a bunch of Teamsters in the room. I have Letty Prieto, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
And Alicia Berry.
Got it.
I got it. Okay. I didn't. Sometimes I butcher names. My apologies. I should be better at it, but I try my best. With that, why don't you guys introduce yourselves and what you do, just like a quick job description. They are with San Bernardino Fire. They are Teamsters here in San Bernardino County. And why don't you, instead of me continuing to talk, because I'll do plenty of that, and I was doing plenty of that, introduce yourself and just a brief snip of what your job is.
Well, like you said, my name is Letty Prieto. And shout out to all my Teamster family out there. I work for Division 2, which is San Bernardino County Fire Department, as an OA3. And basically a little bit, it's in downtown, so really love working there. So I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm Alicia Berry. I've been working for San Bernardino County Fire for 24 years. Come this January, with the county for 25 years. And I am the payroll supervisor, and I pay all of our staff. And not only do we just pay our staff,
you're
we
our favorite
support our
person.
staff. You got that
right? Yeah.
So, Letty, how long have you been with San Bernardino Fire?
Oh my gosh, I'm a seasoned employee, so this is going to be my 23rd year.
23. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is long careers for you guys,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So let's talk about OA. An OA is an office assistant 3. You're an office assistant 3, correct?
Correct.
OA 3. And not everybody understands the terminology. It's listening.
Yeah.
So tell me about your job. What happens sometimes in your job is everybody loves the firefighter, right? Because you dial 911, something crazy happens, firefighter shows up, everybody's like, oh yeah, I love you. They don't realize there's all this work that goes into making sure that the firefighter actually arrives, making sure that the fire department operates, making sure that it has the buildings, it has the infrastructure, and it has everything that it needs. So talk a little bit about your job, some of the things that you actually do at work to make sure that there is support of the fire department.
Well, I work for Division 2, and it's the biggest division in County Fire. Other divisions might not think so, but but we are. We have 10 stations in the city of San Bernardino, and 4 outlining stations. And my coworkers and I, we keep the lights on and the water running. So we're the support for all the firemen out there, and we have chiefs and battalion chiefs that we support. So yeah.
All right, Alicia, tell me about your job.
Okay, well, of course, payroll, we pay people. However, we do more than just pay people.
Correct. Yes.
So people would assume that you cut a check and that's that. Well, we support all of County Fire. We support our fire personnel, our administrative staffs throughout the divisions. We pay biweekly. We support our HR staff in onboarding. We support our budget staff in providing reports and details with regards to our budgets. We support all of our outlying departments. And when I say support, they can call us for any and everything. We not only pay them, and we provide them with benefits information. As part of onboarding, you would think that you just give them benefits and
you
off
just give them a
they
piece
go.
of paper, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it's
doesn't work
more
that
than
way.
that.
Yeah.
Because we support them in anything that they have that comes across.
Yeah, in jobs like this, especially in the fire department or police officers or any of the jobs in which are very important to our community, people that kind of get lost in the shuffle are you guys, are those that are doing a lot of the very important work answering a phone, making sure that bills are paid, making sure the lights are on, like you
Of
just
course,
said.
yes,
Making sure
for
that the
sure.
water flows. I mean, it doesn't do you any good as a firefighter if there's no water.
Nope.
So making sure that they have the supplies that they need, making sure they have the materials that they need, making sure they have the training, that the functionality administratively. There's a ton of work that goes into the administrative the administrative part of any organization. And so first, let me say thank you for all the work that you do. Maybe not enough people thank you. They maybe thank the firemen out there, but
Thank you.
You ladies and others behind the scenes doing all the work that you do, no one else can get their job done if it wasn't for you.
Oh, it's truly appreciated. Thank you.
So tell us a funny story or something at work, something that, you remember this is radio, live radio, so you can't say anything crazy, but, what I always like people to talk about as far as their job is things they like about their job, and also, like a funny story, something interesting that people may not know listening in.
Well, I don't know. Do you want to go first, Alicia?
Well, I'll go. Not fun. Every day we have fun.
Yeah.
You have to like what you do
Of course,
in order to come back for 24, 25
correct.
years.
Yes,
So
for sure.
you
Agree with
build
you.
a relationship with your coworkers. You build a relationship with anybody and everybody that you come in contact with. So for me, going to work and enjoying the company of my coworkers gets me through that other day. And we sit back and we have fun. We talk, we laugh together. We're in the trenches together. So funny stories, I'm sure I have a lot.
Well, if you think of one while we're because we have about 15 minutes of the show, so if you think of one that comes up in the middle of this, feel free to say, "Hey, I got that. I remember that funny story." But okay, so I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. This group became Teamsters in 2019, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And so you were unrepresented all the years before. Now you've been Teamsters. So obviously you're proud Teamsters.
Oh,
You're
of
happy
course.
to be part
Proud
of this,
Teamsters,
right?
for sure.
Hasn't it been a great
Yeah.
partnership?
Yeah,
we want everybody to be Teamsters, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Go Teamsters.
that's why we do the billboards. We do the radio show. We do the buses. We do we're just what we're trying to do is just brand what you do, what our members do, and build a better relationship with the community. Because what happens is, people just kind of go through the grind every day and they forget how important your jobs are. They forget how important it is to be a Teamster, how important it is to have these sorts of resources. And I think that one of the things we should point out here is there's a measure on the ballot, Measure W right now, that is looking to gut your funding. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
So I'll let you get into some of the nuts and bolts of this in a few minutes, but this is the third time. So it's been rejected multiple times, and there's a group of people, there was actually a very wealthy group of people that don't want to pay taxes at this level, that they don't think they should pay for fire protection like this. And I know because I've actually been on the street. I remember being at a few demonstrations and debating them, and had that was in Grand Terrace. That was a fun one. I had a good time debating them. That was on the Measure U, the first go with it. So Measure U was in 2020, then Measure Z was in 2022, and then now in 2024, there's another shot at essentially trying to gut the funding for the fire district. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And so how's that going to affect you? Let's assume everybody says, yeah, I don't want to pay taxes, which is always crazy to me. People want to dial 911. They want to drive on a street. You may complain that there are potholes or whatever. They want to turn their faucet on at home, right? They want to turn it off. They want to flush a toilet and it goes bye-bye. Yeah. There's all these basic functions. The kids go to school. There's all these basic functions. And we've gotten into this very kind of complaining sort of environment that we've stopped appreciating the work that's done. And now it's like, yeah, cut my taxes, which means if you cut taxes like this,
you're cutting services.
You're cutting
of
services.
Course, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens? Let's assume Measure W passes. Now, obviously, the other ones didn't. How much funding are you guys going to lose?
We're losing $147 million. Is it
47
million?
$47
yes.
million.
$1 million will go away.
That's a few bucks.
That means that
Closing
we're
of
cutting
stations, right?
Services,
Yes.
stations closing. administrative staff being laid off.
Yeah, we don't want that to happen for sure.
Yeah, we don't want that either.
No.
And then not just that, you have your community services that are being affected as well. Because when you dial 911, you're going to get a response. Someone's going to show up at your house and they're going to give you the care that you need. But if it's an emergency where you have a child that's choking and services are disrupted and that response time adds on an additional 5 minutes, that 5 minutes of
Life or
additional
death.
time, life or death.
Yeah, for sure. It's very important to.
People don't remember, 100 years ago, fire service wasn't done through taxes like this. They were, you actually had to pay for fire service separately. You actually had to pay for police service
and-
too. Yeah,
yeah,
police and fire
police and
both.
fire.
There's a couple movies in the 80s that came out that actually touched on it because there are still a couple downtown areas that have their police and fire service like this in the country. And if I remember correctly, there's a small area in Seattle and then there's another area, I think, in Chicago. Not the whole downtown, but a small area. Anyway, point is imagine if you dial a number and they answer the phone and they say, well, what's your address? And you tell them the address and they look in the thing and say, well, you don't pay fire service.
Can you imagine that? Oh my god.
That's the way it used to be. And so they just let they'd dispatch fire out and then they would make sure that the property next to it that was paying for fire service didn't burn down. And you couldn't say, okay, I'll sign up for service now. Like they wouldn't let you sign up right then, right? They would send the fire department out and then they would make sure that the structure next to it, if it was paying the service, wouldn't burn down.
Oh my gosh.
That is how fire service used to be.
Yeah.
And it's clearly it moved into a more socialized system where there's a tax to make sure that all those services are paid for. And so what happens is let's say 50, 60, 70 years goes by and then everybody kind of gets comfortable with the way the system is. And then we just start, well, let's cut this and let's cut that and let's cut this. Yeah. So, understanding that history and how important this is, and obviously the radio show, part of the radio show is just educating the general public on the importance of all this. Like, how concerned are you with this passing? Because the other ones were relatively close, believe it or not. And in 2020 or 2019, I mean, I know I got evacuated multiple times in Yucaipa because those crazy fires were burning through Yucaipa, and I got evacuated from my place multiple times. And it's still it's still almost passed. I mean, obviously, it ultimately didn't. So I think it's really important for everybody to recognize. Don't take this for granted. And on this very early primary election, which is where the voting is going to happen, correct?
Yes.
It's going to happen
in March.
Yeah, in March. The absentee ballots go out in a couple weeks. And so the other thing I want to tie to is I try to stay away from the partisan politics because, man, they drive me nuts. I want to poke everybody's eyes out for being so angry and acting the way they do. But this is where politics actually negatively impact a community, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And so you have a very wealthy person who doesn't think it's right for it. It's amazing how much those wealthy people get in tax breaks, right?
Right. Yeah.
Then they want this tax break too.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have to, as a homeowner who lives and resides in the community, you have to think about who's telling you to vote for that, why they're telling you to vote for that. It doesn't affect them. If your house catches fire,
Hell, one of them even lives in Florida.
Oh, nice.
it's not going to affect them. It will affect you.
That's correct.
So you need to listen, and if you have questions, if you're unsure, don't just listen to what someone or a group of someone's tell you.
Yeah,
Do
15-second
your
snapshot, right?
Exactly. Do your research. It brings to mind, for me, I would take my kids to dinner all the time. It would happen to be on a Tuesday or a Saturday, which happens to be Kids Eat Free Day. They didn't know this. So they went along with this because mom took them to dinner.
Right.
Until one time, one of my kids said, I don't want that. I want something else from the regular menu. So we go with the flow. all the time. We're not kids. Do your research. Ask the questions. Because had he not brought that to my attention, I would have said, you know what, they like it. Well, no. You have to stand up at some point and voice your opinion or ask the question, why can't I have something from the other menu?
Right.
So ask the questions. If you are unsure as to what you're voting on, don't just go and vote based on what me or anybody else tells you.
Or Facebook.
Facebook,
So get
TikTok,
educated
all of
on
that.
it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't
educate yourself.
And
Yeah,
one of the
for
biggest mistakes that I think people make in this space is they say, "Oh, cut taxes? I vote to cut taxes."
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
Do
cutting services.
Right. Are you aware of the services that you're cutting?
You're cutting
A lot of
services.
people aren't aware of
Correct.
that. Yeah,
Correct.
and that's important for them to know what will be cut and how it would impact, the community.
So I'm assuming you're encouraging a vote no on Measure W. Is that correct?
Correct.
We are.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to be very clear here.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Vote no.
Vote no on W for
And
sure.
if the vote yes wants to come on and have a debate with me, I would entertain that. That's a challenge to you. I would love to have them sit right here and have a conversation. I'd have fun with it. Anyway, the point is there's a couple layers here. One is pay attention as not just a taxpayer or resident, what is impacting, and then also you got to hear from these two young ladies here what they do every day and how important your job is to the community and how it's going to be negatively affected. And the other thing I think that most people don't realize is most of these districts actually service very remote areas.
That is true.
Yes.
That have a hard time with services. I know I actually live in Yucaipa, but I live on the Riverside County side of Yucaipa. So I actually live as far away from a fire fire station as you can live, because I'm in Yucaipa. I'm over on the other side of the hill. I get service from Cherry Valley.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have a heart attack or if something crazy happens, all that stuff's got to come over the hill. I didn't realize that when I bought the place, because San Bernardino County was actually literally across the street. You could throw a rock and hit the county line. The remote areas that it's harder to service is actually even more dangerous.
It is.
Because maybe if you've got an area that's got 3 or 4 fire stations, you get into an issue where there's a response time because it takes longer to call. But then if you go into the remote areas where now you're starting to eliminate stations, a 15-minute call, 12-minute call turns into a 30 or a 45 and could be even longer in some of these rural areas. And San Bernardino's got a lot of rural areas. It's got a lot of stretched out areas, right?
Right. Correct.
And San Bernardino County covers a large area.
Yeah.
Larger than 6 states.
It's the biggest county in the U.S. for sure.
Yeah. And if anyone travels the 40-15 corridor, you don't have to be a resident of this measure that will be impacted, because if there's something that occurs on your visit somewhere else, it's going to impact the services that would be required to save a life.
Yeah, you could live in Vegas.
Yeah.
That's right. You could live in Vegas. Coming down to San Diego or something.
Yeah.
Something happens on the freeway, because you're in San Bernardino County almost the entire way, right?
That is correct.
And or on the 40, because there's 99 miles between services in Barstow and Needles.
Can you imagine?
Can you
You know,
imagine
yeah.
having that even more remote? That is crazy. And I've got a crazy story. I actually had an uncle pass away with my aunt in the car driving on the 40 between Barstow and Needles. This is pre-cell phones. So it wasn't like they could call. Now you could call, you're driving, someone has a heart attack. He had a heart attack on the drive, and he obviously didn't make it by the time they got to Needles. So now, fast forward 30 years, 35 years, now you can pick up the phone, you call, you could meet the fire, the fire support en route to save you.
Yeah.
Now, clearly, whether you're driving, because obviously dial 911 goes to Highway Patrol, and then on a cell phone, and then it gets redirected, gets dispatched, and comes back to you guys to make sure it's handled correctly. So point is, man, that was a very, very good point. You don't even have to live in the county for this to negatively affect you in a big, big, big way. At a time when you're most in need of help is when you're going to say, man, we shouldn't have allowed Measure W to pass.
Yeah. Don't take the chance.
Yeah,
don't.
No.
Yeah, because a part of it, I got 4 minutes. Part of it is protecting the community that is traveling through, because some people, they stop and they get gas and they buy stuff and there's tax revenue generated as a result of it. They go into San Bernardino, they visit people, they stop at a store, go to a Starbucks or whatever. So it's not just protecting. Very good point. It's not just protecting the residents. It's also protecting the broader community that's traveling through. And with San Bernardino County being so massive and large, that's millions of people that are affected.
Yeah.
There's a lot on the line for Measure W.
I hope that rich guy from Florida doesn't get an accident over here in San Bernardino.
But he's probably got a helicopter that comes in and swoops
That's
him up
true.
or something.
That's true.
Right? Yeah. He made all his money on, from what I remember correctly, made all his money on cell phone towers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Must be nice.
Yeah.
And then say, oh, yeah, everybody else doesn't need to pay a tax to make sure they have it. This KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. It's the Worker Power Hour. We got a couple minutes left, right? Got 3 minutes. So is there anything you want to close up? Did you think of a funny story or anything before we wrap the hour up? No. Really appreciate you guys coming on.
Well,
See, you were all nervous. You don't seem nervous.
Oh, my gosh. I was so nervous. I was telling them that I couldn't sleep last night. But no, I mean, hey, I just want to, for my non-English people
go
there,
for it.
Por favor, vote no para la medida W para apoyar a nuestros bomberos. Así que, por favor, vote no.
Anything you want to finish with?
I would just love to let people know, if you have questions, I'm talking about the people that are impacted in the areas that Measure W is for. Go to one of our fire stations. Ask them how it's going to affect them.
Yeah, that's a
Ask
great
them how it's going
suggestion.
to affect my neighbors. If you don't know, they're happy to answer the question.
Yeah, go right to the fire station.
Right to the station
That's
and
a good
ask
one.
them.
Yeah.
They will be more than happy to explain to you how this can impact not only them, but their neighbors. And for anyone that is leaning towards based on someone else's
Rhetoric.
idea, yes, do your research. That's it. Do your research. It will be
Get educated on it. Yeah, for
it
sure.
would be really good to know what you're voting on, not because someone tells you to vote on something. Even me, do your research.
Yep.
I can tell you who it will impact. It will impact your workers, your administrative staff, your suppression, and stations.
Yeah.
So don't take the chance. It's like car insurance. You never know when you're going to need it until
you
something
need it.
happens.
So vote no.
Got it. Okay, well, thank you for coming on. You guys have been awesome. I appreciate you sharing what you do and talking about what you do, and also explaining the importance of this crazy measure out there. And so I want to wrap up the show. I got a couple points I'd like to hit at the very tail end of the show. Number one, this is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a longtime organizer, first-time radio show host. So, I'm not great at being a radio show host.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you are.
I didn't pay you to do it.
No, you didn't pay me.
You to do it. But what we're doing is we're building worker power in the area. You see our billboards. Worker power is where lots of good things have happened for middle class, and we want to encourage everybody to build worker power. How do you build worker power? First thing you do is you talk to your family, you talk to your friends, you talk to your neighbors, and you make sure that they understand what worker power is. And workers get together and form some policy like this and saying, hey, you're not going to take things out of our pocket. So with that, this is Randy Corrigan signing off the Worker Power Hour. Longtime organizer, first-time radio host.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932.